Welcome to the Artisan and Reenactors Market podcast. This is a chance to hear from the merchants, makers, living history experts and performers who are part of the ARM family. Hear them talk passionately about their products and history. The ARM family welcomes new traders, groups, living history and performers. See our website armarket.uk to find out more. In this episode, I talk with Mick, one of the organisers of Evesham's medieval market in May and the Battle of Evesham reenactments in August.
Knights on the field at the Battle of Evesham might be becoming synonymous with the actual barons who were there.
Mick also has some exciting details of his plans for what's next for Evesham.
A multi-sensory virtual reality experience.
And I also talk with Andy and Matt at the Armchair Armoury about their taking on and successful running of an established business.
When you look back at your life and you have those decisions that you made, for good or ill, this one in particular, we can almost pinpoint the exact day when it happened.
And Matt reveals how he gets his work colleagues motivated.
She's old, she's good and she's very proud, but she takes a good kicking to get working.
Machinery. Matt meant machinery, I think. I'm now talking with Mick Hurst, one of the organisers of Evesham's medieval market and battle. We talk about how he first got into the reenactment world, his organisational skills, and what his hopes are for the future of Evesham.
My background is motorbikes, so I've always been a passionate biker for hobby and career. And I used to run a bike club in Worksop at North Nottinghamshire called the Split Links MCC, and I used to organise holidays abroad and bike rallies and go to festivals with the gang. So very, very similar sort of thing. Used to organise all this, put bands on, get marquees, organise beer and entertainment and food and drink. So I used to do all that for the biker world.
Wow.
When I came down to Evesham, and this was at the turn of the century, and I was sort of, there's a bit of medieval history here, and I got more and more into that, and then I got the invites to help with the 750th anniversary, and then that sort of turned me on to this reenactment lifestyle, if you like. I don't reenact myself. I don't claim to be a reenactor. I just enjoy putting on a platform for other people to do their hobbies, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing better than seeing a parade of 400 reenactors in full outfit marching past you when you know that you've helped organise that, and all of these guys are coming to do what they love.
And that's awesome because, speaking as one of the 400, it is amazing being a part of that.
I want Evesham to become medieval central. So if anybody wants to understand anything about the 13th century or medieval life, they go, tell you what, let's go to Evesham.
Mick now tells us a little of how Evesham Medieval Market first came into being.
In 2015, we attracted 10,000 visitors.
Wow.
In 2018, on our first go, we attracted 10,000 visitors.
Wow.
We did it the following year in 2019 with a bit of support from the council. Everybody got involved. It was fantastic. We had an estimated 17,000 people turn up. We had over 300 performers, living history, trebuchets, 15 nights on horseback,
Yes.
etc., etc. So it was a real superb do. And I thought, how am I going to attract all of these visitors into the town centre? And Sue and my wife and myself thought, wouldn't it be a good idea if we put the barons who took part in the battle on the lampposts? So we created A1 size shields, hand painted them, or Sue hand painted them, and we mounted them on the lampposts. And then that got me to thinking, well, we ought to really find out all the knights and barons who took part in the battle.
I'm interested in particular about the Battle of Evesham roll of arms. So it's been quite interesting how do they help you find these missing knights?
According to chronicler Thomas Wicks, who was quite a contemporary guy, he said there was 180 altogether.
Wow.
And
that's going to keep Sue busy.
well, there's about 20 on the royal side because they got big numbers in the armies, and about 160 on the barons side. So far, we've managed to identify about 126 of them, and about 65 coats of arms. And it's become a little bit of an obsession. So every other, 2 or 3 times a week, I'm posting out on the Facebook groups. Our Facebook reach has now reached 750,000 people around the world.
Wow.
So we've got academics in Australia and in America and in Europe all joining in with their contributions to say, I think this guy lived here. And they have academic arguments, all good natured, obviously. A lot of the reenactors get involved as well because they are passionate about their history.
Yes.
And together we're sort of narrowing down the name, the evidence that baron took part in the Battle of Evesham, and the blazons he displayed at the battle. And then all of these barons and knights are added to the battleofevesham.co.uk website so people can refer to them. And a good thing about it is the reenactors who take part in the Battle of Evesham festival are now going onto the website, choosing a baron to portray, checking to make sure he's not been done before, and then creating their own coats of arms to match that baron that's on the website. So slowly, but sure, the knights on the field at the Battle of Evesham are becoming synonymous with the actual barons who were there.
Oh, fantastic. And when they get their coat of arms, is it to do with the family motto? Is it to do with where they live, or maybe their wealth in some way?
Well, it's a bit of a combination of all of those, because coats of arms and blazons really started to appear in the 12th century. Then it sort of developed in the 13th century in the sort of basic form that we display at the Battle of Evesham. A lot of it's to do with the families. So people like Baron Nicholas Seagrave, his shield is a black shield with white bales of hay on it. That's not very aggressive. Yeah. I'm going to whack you with a bale of hay. Yeah. It represented the sorts of people who lived where he did. So because it was all farmers, etc. So he wanted to portray that. Other people obviously wanted to be a bit more aggressive and had the lions, or tigers as we should really say, because they didn't know what lions was in the days. But also there's some strange ones like Henry de Hastings. He's got a lady's sleeve on his shield.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so you have a lady's sleeve on your shield. I've got a lion on mine. So I encourage people to go and find Henry de Hastings' shield, just to marvel at why they've got a lady's sleeve. The Vikings were sort of recorded as being in England right up to 1150. So for the medieval market weekend, we have Vikings right through to the War of the Roses, so 1485. So we've got the entire area covered, the entire medieval period. mean, if you look at the shields designs in the War of the Roses era, because the families got married to each other, the shields was then halved. And then the children then got married again, so they was quartered. So you get really, really complex shields happening in that later period. And if you look at the shields from the mid 13th century, like ours, you'll get a single motif, like you'll get Declare is a yellow shield with three red chevrons on it. What you'll notice is some of them have got a blue bar across the top as well, with three little areas going down, like an upturned castellation. That means that that person is the second in command, which of that family, which normally is the heir or the son. So to me, that's you're the king and you're the prince. Your targets if you're the enemy.
Exactly what I was just about to say. Is really, that's a bit clear signalling on a battlefield, isn't it?
Well, it is, but also on the other side of the coin, they're going, look at me, I'm so big and brave. I can tell you that I'm the king or the heir to the throne. Come and take me on if you want.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so they're not scared.
Would you be able to give a tiny history of the actual Battle of Evesham at all, Mick? I'm sure you've done this many times. Just like a history first. Yes.
Okay, so in the early 13th century, there was King Henry III who was on the throne. He was quite an unpopular king. He was determined to do good by God and have crusades. There was famine in England, and he decided to raise taxes to go on this crusade, which was one of the reasons. There was quite a few other reasons that the barons of the country decided that they would rally up against him and his rule, because he was completely ignoring the Magna Carta, which was 50 years early, by the way. The barons got together and it was led by Simon de Montfort. So Simon de Montfort is now known as the founder of Parliament, the founder of the House of Commons, etc., because he gathered all the barons together. We are going to bring the Magna Carta rules plus some additional ones together to make sure that you're not making the people of the land suffer. He then went down to London, sacked London, went over to Lewes, had a battle with the Royal Army at Lewes, captured Henry III and his son, Prince Edward, and paraded them around the UK basically as the figurehead king. Simon de Montfort became de facto ruler of England for about a year. In August 1265, the king was being held captive over in Hereford. Simon de Montfort and the captive king decided to move over and join his son at Kenilworth. By this time, Prince Edward had escaped and had raised an army and gathered in the marshes in Ludlow Castle, etc., and decided to come and rescue his dad. And they met one stormy August morning, August the 4th, 1265, at Evesham, just after the Simon de Montfort and the de Montfort army stopped for prayers and breakfast at Evesham Abbey. So instead of escaping across the river, they decided to head on straight into the battle. Again, it's a lot more complicated than this, but 10,000 men of the Royal Army slaughtered around 5,000 of Simon de Montfort's men, and including obviously de Montfort, sliced him up, chopped off his testicles, put them in his mouth, chopped his head off, sent the head to the wife of Roger de Mortimer, who was the guy who killed de Montfort, as a bit of a trophy. His arms was chopped off below the elbow, his legs was chopped off below the knee, and they were sent to other baron rebels as warnings. So they went around the country. But also these became symbols of martyrdom and they became worshipped. There's a little cult started to honour de Montfort. The torso was buried by the people in the abbey near the altar stone, but then Henry III had that taken back out again and buried in secret, because he didn't want a place of martyrdom and for these people in the cult to come and worship. But it didn't really stop that. There's a pond on Green Hill And Greenhill was where the main battle took place, and it ran red with the blood of de Montfort, and people used to come and take the water and get healed.
Wow.
Yeah, for the following century, this was building and building, and there was a movement to make him a saint. So that was quashed by the Catholic Church and Henry III.
Wow.
But his legend lives on, and he's now recognised as one of the most important men in political history, and used by American when they were setting up their laws 256 years ago now, as one of the most important people. And his relief is on the Capitol House, along with 22 other men of importance from history, including Moses and Bonaparte, and and there you've got de Montfort, and you've also got King Edward, who was Prince Edward at our battle. So you can say that the two men of importance that helped found the laws of America fought at the Battle of Evesham.
And what's next for Evesham? Mick has some really exciting plans and details about how you could possibly get involved.
What's really exciting for me is that there's an old building in Evesham called the Public Hall. It's not a medieval building, but it was built in Georgian times or something. It's been abandoned for 13 years. It's a ballroom basically, upstairs.
Wow.
on the first floor, ballroom. So we've got the Evesham Arts Association are going to take over the ballroom. It's going to be refurbished. So I've proposed that I take over the ground floor and the basement. So the basement is the size of a ballroom. So what I intend to do is host a multi-sensory virtual reality experience based on the life of Evesham Abbey. So 700 AD through to the dissolution of the Abbey 800 years later. And that includes featuring the Battle of Evesham. Now, this will be in 360-degree CGI, top quality. So you'll be inside the Battle of Evesham, and you'll see Simon de Montfort get pulled off his horse and killed right next to you.
Wow.
And you'll have people in full fighting mode all around you. So this will be a 45-minute long experience, and you come out the other end into a gift shop. So I've got a medieval themed gift shop, and then a cafe. So this is going to be a tourist centre, which is going to be exploiting, I know, the history of the Simon de Montfort and Evesham Abbey, and bringing in people from America who's interested in political creation of America, bringing in all of the people who's interested in Norman genealogy, because a lot of their relatives was killed at the Battle of Evesham, a lot of the Normans.
Yeah.
Bringing in anybody who's interested in religious buildings, because the Evesham Abbey, in fact, Evesham was based on a vision of the Virgin Mary by a swineherd called Eof. So that's why Evesham is Eof's Ham. Ham is an area of floodplain next to a river. So that's where he saw the vision of the Virgin Mary in 700 and some AD. Went and told his local bishop. Bishop went, tell you what, this is a fantastic place to have an abbey. Let's build an abbey here in honour of the Lady Mary. So that's why Evesham came to being in the first place.
Wonderful. Mick, I'm in. Do you want any help with that? I'm in.
Always have to help. We need things to sell in the gift shop. We need decorations around the place, because I want it to look. As you go down into the basement area, you walk down some stairs before you have your virtual reality experience. I want you to be walking into almost like a medieval pub type atmosphere.
Yes, I get you. Paneling, wicker baskets, straw. Yeah.
Exactly, all of that. So a donkey in the corner.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So we get all of that atmosphere, so people realise even before they walk into 700 AD and walk into a bright sunny day all around them with Eof and his son tending some pigs next to the river, it's a multi-sensory one with so you've got virtual reality headsets on, but they're untethered. So you'll be looking around you, you'll be hearing and seeing what we would tell you to, but you'll also be walking on grass, and you'll be smelling countryside and the pigs.
Yeah.
You'll have wind machines blowing air over your face, so it feels like you stood outside.
Wow.
So you have a full multi-sensory experience. And then you go into the abbey, for instance, and you'll open the abbey door. There'll be a physical door that you'll open. In the virtual world, it'll be an oak door with creaks and such like. And then you'll smell candle wax and baking bread as you walk into the abbey. So you get a real sort of sense that you are there. I've already lined up everybody to help actually put this thing together, but I will need people from history or people with historic knowledge of the different periods to help me. What did a 10th century peasant wear? You know, what did an abbot wear in the 1400s? Yeah.
You know, the Voic reenactment world, they are reading archaeological reports going from artwork and manuscripts and stone carvings and everything. So people are about, you know, if someone says, for example, hats, they will quote an archaeological report, a rune stone, and a religious text to show examples. And I think, yeah, this is where we need to be, and it's really exciting time actually.
Yeah, with the Battle of going back to the Battle of Evesham, I'm so determined that that's going to stay 13th century and not get watered down by, you know, other periods. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted the Evesham Medieval Market Weekend to cover the entire medieval period. You know, so we can accept our friends from the Viking period right through to the, like I say, the 1485 War of the Roses characters. With the shiny bit. So as you come in, you see the rough lads from the Viking era. you go through to the mid 13th century where they're getting a bit more sophisticated with the mail and the nice colourful bright coats of arms, etc. And then go through to the shiny armed boys. Now there's a for the Battle of Evesham, there's a kit guide that's been created by colleagues in this, and they are phenomenal, these kit guides, even down to like there's a page on which belts you're allowed to wear.
Brilliant.
So it's trying to keep it authentic for everybody and trying to keep it entertaining for the public. So it's got to be like education and entertainment. So the more people who come to the markets and the things like the Battle of Evesham Festival, the more people will want to get into reenactment.
Yes.
And it will just keep regenerating with the younger generation getting involved.
Yeah, exactly that. I've had lots of people say, oh, well, I went to a reenactment when I was 5 and someone talked to me and now I am a reenactor. So yeah, it completely is reenactment family. So the impression that you make on young people, don't underestimate it.
Get them out and about with the families. They go, oh yeah, we're going to have a look at this. They get, oh, that was fantastic. And they find out that there's a reenactment group close by and then we'll go and investigate. You know, in things like if there's an upturn in the old, our friend COVID, we might not be having a battle again. We might not be having a market again. But I'm planning for both of these events because planning gives hope and we all need hope.
Well, thanks, Mick. It's been a really nice to chat to you. Thanks for all the hours you're putting in. We do, traders, yeah, we do appreciate it.
Obviously, it's not just me on my own. So, you know, it's, I've got to thank, you know, if they're listening to this, any of the volunteers who help us. Big thanks goes to Sue, my other half, who puts all of her spare time into what we do as well. Other people like Bruce Taylor and Ashley Jace from the Almonry Museum. We couldn't do it on our own, so more people around Evesham want to step up and help us, the better.
I'm now talking with Matt and Andy from the Armchair Armoury, chainmail, LARP outfits, World War II machinery, and whose memory is better. I'm joined now by Matt and Andy from the Armchair Armoury. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Oh, welcome in to the Zoom chat. How did you get into making chainmail?
We make
What
rings.
was what was the turning point when you thought, you know what? Actually, it's more than one, really, isn't it?
Achievable.
So,
Quite a few. I can pinpoint it.
It's one of those things where like you can, when you look back at your life and like you have those decisions that you made, like for good or ill. This one in particular, like we can almost pinpoint the exact day when it happened.
wow.
And our life spiraled out of control and was consumed by millions and millions of tiny metal rings.
Yeah, and our floors were never safe from sharp objects ever again. We were sort of looking at a workshop. A friend of mine had introduced me to Mike Wilby, who used to run the Armchair Armory, and he was selling his workshop, basically, and the business. And we were kind of sort of looking at each other going, oh, this would be so cool. Could you imagine if we could take this over? It would be amazing. About half an hour later, Mike rang me and went, we've decided to accept your offer. And I was like, I'm free!
Oh, I'm so pleased for you. It's such a perk, being your own boss. I never take that for granted. It's my own fault if I'm slow.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one else to blame, and I accept the blame. And what am I going to do about it?
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because I've never actually had a real job. Well, it's been stressful, but I feel like it's been the most rewarding past 3 years of my life, really.
Yeah.
So we take over this business. So you've got like established customers and places to go, or did you have to find your own route?
Yeah,
It was a bit of both, really. So we got like the goodwill of the company with like in what we bought, effectively.
Yeah.
And we had like regular customers, and Mike was really good in that because he was slowing down as is. I mean, he was 82 when he sold the company to us. We bought like a whole new side and a whole new avenue that we could go down.
But it was definitely hard to sort of get everything kind of modernized, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's even now it would have been that third year of us like trading that we were finally getting back to all of the shows that Mike used to do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, it just took a very long time to kind of get to know the organisers and get them to believe that we'd taken over and we weren't this new company that's stolen the name.
Oh gosh, of course. That's quite difficult, actually, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You guys are makers originally, then, in a different sense. You've come to this with your skills, and then you're adding your skills, and the more skills, you've got loads of skills.
Yeah. So we met on a model making course at university.
Yeah. We won't tell our lovely listeners the first time we met because I don't remember.
Matt doesn't remember anything.
You can't tell them, yeah, but Andy could.
I remember Matt was working at the workshop in university campus, and he was making a car, and I was like, oh, I love classic cars, and I sort of went, I can talk to him about it. And I went up to him and I was like, I like the car. What make are you making? And all this, and he's looking straight through me. He's just like, I don't know. I just got told to make this. And I was like, good chat. Yeah, I'm going over here.
How long ago was that then?
7.
It was about 7 or 8 years.
Make your mind up.
It was 7. It was 7 years ago.
What year are we now? Where are we?
I think we're in 2021. Yeah, I just looked at my laptops.
I can't believe it's already February. I know that, like, what has happened?
Not a lot really, Andy. You're not missed much. Let's go back to what you sell.
We manufacture rings like this. We've basically got a big spring making machine that turns the rings one revolution and cuts them off. So all the round wire rings we make in-house, and yeah, we've got some very, very noisy machinery that is pre-war and still going.
I've seen it. It's amazing. It's very rhythmical, ka-chunk,
yeah.
ka-chunk,
Yeah.
with the rings.
Absolutely. I'm holding up a 10mm steel ring at the moment.
Nice, it's lovely.
But we make from 6mm to 10mm in the round section, and we do from 3mm,
which is very tiny.
which are very small. I've got
Nice.
some on the table here.
I mean, gosh,
Can you see that? It's tiny.
yes. So that's not even, that's tiny, half a fingernail, less than that sized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do
All
people
cut.
use the rings for once they bought them off you?
So the smaller ones are mainly like jewelry or
Mhm.
like decorative pieces, and then the larger rings are mainly for armor. So lots of like making chainmail shirts and hauberks and
Yeah.
vests and underwear sometimes. You know, all manner of things. We saw someone who made a Superman costume out of chainmail the other day.
Yeah,
Oh,
That was
like
pretty
that.
cool.
incredible.
Yeah, and we do it for LARP chainmail.
Mhm.
So lots of stuff for everyone, really, which is nice.
We also make costume and props, and I guess the armor is kind of a culmination of both of those things, because you've come at this with a more prop based experience, haven't you?
Yeah.
And
So, like, I'm a trained prop and model maker. That's like mainly what I do. Whereas Andy, you're more like costume and
yeah, it's hard at work on a sewing machine.
kind of textile based, I suppose. Yeah, and they kind of mesh together nicely, and we make costume and armor and medals. I do a lot of sculpting and casting.
Yep.
Yeah, loads of stuff, really.
Tell me the latest thing you're working on then. What's the last order you've got and you've gone, oh, this is coming together nicely?
So I've been making some very sumptuous kit for Empire LARP.
Nice.
I will grab it for you because I have it here.
Andy's latest creation is...
It's a velvet doublet that has detachable sleeves, and you're doing a hat and a shoulder cape to match.
And hose.
And hose.
It's basically, it's on brief for the nation, the League in Empire LARP. It's all made out of cotton velvet, pink and white. And it's got all like shiny pearly beads around the edges.
Oh, that's gorgeous, yes. Ah, secret pockets. Whoa, a magic trick has just happened where Andy has just turned it inside out, and inside is a completely different outfit.
Yeah, it's all diamonds and it's completely different colour. And basically it's, yeah.
It's 2-in-1.
It's a 2-in-1. So I'm super excited. I'm making 3 of these. The next ones are going to be in pink and yellow, silver and purple on the inside as well.
Oh, it's stunning. That was like day wear, night wear. I just thought that was so clever.
So
Here it
here's one of the
comes.
sleeves. Are you ready, Jenny?
I'm so ready. I can see an arm. You've got an arm. Ooh, it's a very, very balloony, sumptuous, lots of material gathered in kind of sleeve with midnight's blue and pearl effect. That's stunning.
Thank you.
Do they get the arm with it as well? Does that...
I might need that for the other ones.
Oh, I thought they could maybe store it on them when they weren't using them. No? Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm going to need it.
That's absolutely stunning, mate. You need to be really proud of that. It's gorgeous.
I really am. It's all based on the Landsknecht, 16th century Swiss mercenaries.
Right.
They're meant to be like some of the most phenomenal fighting forces of the time, and they're all paid in these beautiful fabrics and stuff. So all of their clothing was sort of torn, and it was all split and slashed so that when they got battle damage and stuff, it didn't notice so much. And it was basically there to show how wealthy they were. Like, I can afford to cut up my clothes to ribbons and it will be fine because I can just pay to get it repaired, or I can pay for a new one.
And Janet from Linen and Needle said exactly the same thing about her when she does her, replica What about leatherwork?
So I'm currently making some suits of leather armour for a couple of clients, which is nice. So I'm making some belts and some tassets, doing a little bit of tooling, even to the extent where we're experimenting with our 3D printing friends next door to make some custom stamps so that I can tool things out that are my own design, which will be pretty cool.
On social media, you are showcasing the kind of things that go on in the workshop. What's been occurring?
Well, we did a live stream where I wrangled with the machine for about an hour and a half.
You were incredibly brave in that it was our aluminium wire that we got in over from Germany. It was a really big order. We got loads of it in, and we had to set up the machine for this new different material because she's old. You know, she's good and she's very proud, but she takes a good kicking to get working.
Yes.
And Andy thought it'd be a great idea. Let's show that off to the entire internet. And it didn't go wrong.
Nothing went wrong, actually.
Oh, she is a beast, isn't she? Oh, she's bigger.
We've got Benny. She's like the workhorse, and like you say, she's quite big. She's almost my height. Like I'm only about a head taller. And she's huge thing.
We're starting to do more tutorials and showing off the projects we're making. So we're looking at showing off the projects we're doing and filming them as we go. I've started putting up tutorials on how to make chainmail, because as well that ties into the website, and it means there's more cool, interesting things on the website that people can go and see. Because a lot of the rings that we do, they are for people to make their own things. So if we can show off what to do with them and make people excited about wanting to make their own things, then it helps us out, it helps them out because they get a new hobby, they get to sit on the sofa for hours and hours making chainmail.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy, it's brilliant.
Absolutely.
In a non-pandemic year, in your average year, you like to get out and about in your tent. Where can we see you guys?
Mostly in the countryside pretending to be fantasy creatures. We're standard nerds. We do live action role play a lot. We mostly go to a game called Empire. It's one of the bigger fest systems, fest LARPs in the UK, and it's kind of very. It's not so super high fantasy, so it's mostly historical inspired kit, and there are also orcs.
It's kind of like Game of Thrones level fantasy.
It's very political and high intrigue, with a little bit of magic on the side. It's very cool. I think it's awesome. I also really enjoy going to the iLARP games. That's really it's our biggest hobby. It's such a good experience.
We always do What's Your Game and LARPCon. They're two really good shows that we've done, and we've kind of got to know the people who run them, and we know the people the other traders that are there.
It's good fun. I love the people that we've gotten to meet, and the sort of going away for a weekend and meeting new people and talking and all that sort of stuff. All of this has come out of the one LARP event that I started. I'm just going to be more grateful.
I hope that goes really well for you guys. Lovely talking to you both.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you for having us.
It's been wonderful. Thank you.
You've been listening to a podcast from the Artisan and Reenactors Market. The Arm family welcomes new traders, groups, living history and performers. See the website armarket.uk. All music from this podcast series is provided by A Merry Noise. Find out more about their medieval, Tudor and 17th century music on their YouTube channel and their website amerrynoise.com. Asking the questions has been me, Jen from Drakosdottir, and also Norfolk. to explain the accent. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to your company next time.